Hi. On our recent trip down to DC, as I had my van full of my family, there were times when the traveling got scary. Not for long, but driving in the dark, in driving rain, with heavy traffic and trucks zooming around me, there were times that it was a little nerve-wracking. There were other times when someone would suddenly come zipping through, or somebody would merge wrong, and for a minute it was a kind of a tight spot, and boy, the old blood flow got going and the old heart began to pound because it was scary and I had some fear. Now, fear is one of those words that's always a bit loaded, especially when we are in church. And the last 2 or 3 years, it's been thrown around a lot. Are we living in fear? They just want you to be afraid. And are you choosing to live in fear, whether it's wearing a mask or COVID or whatever? So fear is an interesting thing when we consider the Bible, because on one hand, God tells us to fear not. John says there is no fear in love because perfect love casts out fear. And yet the Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Whoa, what's going on there? Now there's a lot we could say about it, but just in brief, let's talk about fear in terms of reverence. Fear in terms of appreciation for a danger. Now, fear as in being frightened and not trusting, that is a fear that we're not supposed to have. And the Bible says, when it says that perfect love casts out fear, it says because fear involves punishment. In other words, you're afraid that God will be mad at you, that God is going to turn on you, and so you don't trust God. And the Bible says that kind of fear is wrong, because you can trust God. God has told you He loves you, and if you are trusting His work on the cross for your salvation, then you should not be afraid of Him. But what does it mean? The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Well, it says you need to appreciate, to revere the fact that God is very powerful. When I was going down the highway, I had a great appreciation for the fact that there was real danger. Now, that fear did not cause me to suddenly pull to the side of the road and stop driving, but it did make sure that I drove carefully and made wise choices. Over the last 3 years, as I have had to grapple with the different realities of the pandemic, I have chosen to not live in fear in the sense of being crippled and not trusting the Lord, but to live in proper fear of an appreciation for danger. This is why every time I get in the car, I put on my seatbelt. Am I living in fear? Well, I'm not afraid to drive, but I do appreciate that there is a danger. There is a possibility of an accident. There's a possibility of something that I didn't plan on, and the seatbelt, while not perfect, is not a guarantee that nothing bad will happen, but it is a wise move to answer a danger. So often we are acting in fear when we should be acting in wisdom, which includes a healthy appreciation for danger. When it comes to sin, we should have a healthy appreciation for the danger that sin has in our lives. The fact that when we turn to selfishness and disobey what God has told us is good, and instead choose to do what we think is good, that's dangerous. And it's not because God poses a threat, it's because sin poses a threat, and it's a real danger. But if I trust God, that danger can be dealt with wisely by putting my trust in the work of Jesus Christ. What are you afraid of? Do you live in fear of the forces of this world? Are you crippled to the point of anger or bitterness or violence because you're worried that God has lost control? That's not trusting the Lord. Does a healthy respect for danger cause you to act in wisdom according to the Bible and to make sure that you make wise choices? That's good. Let us not be governed by fear. Let us also not be fools, but instead, in all things, may we put our trust in Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, our confidence, because of his finished work on the cross.